Well, hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to flip real estate with no money, which might be a bit of a challenge because when you're flipping a property, it's very cash intensive. A lot of flippers buy properties without any bank financing. They have to come up with all the cash to buy the property, to hold the property, to renovate the property, to get the property sold. So it's very, very cash intensive. So a lot of people want to know, well, how can I flip a property without having to come out of pocket to make that happen? That's what we're talking about in today's episode. So, how to flip a property with no money? I'm going to give you three different ideas on how to do that. The first idea is all about just getting a smoking deal and making it a no-brainer for a lender. Second one's about partnering. Third one's about partnering in a different way. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so the first way to flip a property with no money is to get an absolutely insane deal on that property and then take it to a private lender. And it's such a smoking deal that they will finance 100% of that for you. So this is a real challenge. This is something that you'd have to do where you could literally get the property for 20, 30, maybe 40 cents on the dollar. And then that way, your lender has enough cushion, has enough safety that they're willing to finance 100% of the purchase of the property, plus the renovation of the property and the holding costs as well during that time. So again, very, very difficult to do. I do know a few people who've done that. I've seen people do that when they're able to buy the property at a ridiculously low price. Like, let's say, for example, you're in the States and you buy a property at a tax lien or a tax deed sale, and you're able to get that property for literally 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. Doesn't happen that often, but it can happen. That could be a situation where you could get 100% financing. But again, you're going to have to come up with the cash to buy the property in the first place. So again, doesn't happen very often. The other options do happen a lot more often. So let's take a look at the second one. All right, the second way to flip property with no money in the deal is for you to put in sweat equity in somebody else's deal. So in this case, you find somebody who's actively flipping properties and you offer to work with that person in exchange for a piece of the action instead of a paycheck. So you're probably not going to be doing any kind of a 50-50 type deal on these kind of deals, but this is a way to get into flipping properties without having to come out of your own pocket with cash for that deals. So if you're a real handy kind of a person, perhaps you could agree to be the contractor, one of the contractors, or the general contractor on that deal. You manage everything, you get everything done, you make sure it happens on time and on budget, and instead of getting a paycheck for that, you're going to get a certain specified percentage of the profits on that deal. That's something that you'd have to work out with the active investor up front in the first place, but it is a way to get going with little or no money of your own in that deal. So again, you're going to have a lot of background with dealing with contractors or being a contractor yourself. You have to bring massive value to the table to make it worth the active investor's time to do that kind of a deal with you. But if you do have that skill set, this is definitely a way that you could look at getting into doing flips with no money down. But I think the third way is going to make the most sense for you. Now, are you enjoying this video? If you are, then go ahead and click on the subscribe button and ring that bell so that you get notifications every time we've got a new video coming out. Now, the third way to do a flip deal with no money down, or at least none of your own money down, is to use other people's money. No, I'm not talking about finding a hard money lender. I'm talking about finding a joint venture partner or an investor who's going to put the capital into the deal. They're going to put the money that's required to either purchase the property or the down payment. They're going to put up the money that's required for doing all of the renovations and the holding costs. And then at the end of the deal, when the smoke clears, you're going to pay them all of their money back and do some sort of a revenue share on the profits that are left over. This is how a lot of flippers are able to really scale their flipping business because they aren't limited by their own capital. They're able to tap into other people's money. They're able to tap into their joint venture partners and their investors' capital and do as many deals as they want to. And quite often, this is how flippers are able to do simultaneous projects. They've got 2, 3, 4, 6 projects on the go at the same time. That's not under their own financial steam. That's because they're working with investors and other people's money. So when it comes to working with investors, especially to do flips, you need to be able to show the person what's in it for them. And probably the best way I've seen to do this is with a really good slide deck presentation. I know some real estate gurus out there say, you know what, you should be able to take a pad of paper and a Sharpie and just draw some pictures and show people how it works that way. I'm going to recommend you don't do that. I'm going to recommend that you put together a well-designed, well-put-together slide deck presentation, like a PowerPoint or a keynote or something like that, and walk your investor through your process, break it down to 5 to 7 steps, make it super simple, and show them what's in it for them. How are they going to profit? How are they covered? How is their risk minimized, right? Show them the upside, show them the risks as well, show them what you're going to do to minimize the chance of those things happening. And then always show what's in it for them. How are they covered? And then a really good thing to have in your slide deck presentation is a couple of case studies of deals that you've already done. Walk people through a deal, show them how it's worked out and how the investor partner benefited most from that deal. Here is a big tip for you when you're showing people prospective deals. Do not show them the best deal you've ever done. Show them a normal deal. Show them an average deal. Show them a plain Jane kind of a deal. Because the temptation is, and I know I made this mistake early on, is that you want to show off your best deals ever. But here's the challenge with that. One of two things is going to happen. If you show off your best deal ever, either number one, it's going to look too good to be true, and the person's spidey senses are going to go off and they're going to go, something doesn't seem right. This just sounds too good. And they're going to be suspicious and they aren't going to do the deal. Or the second thing that might happen is you're going to set up false or higher than what you can deliver expectations. I mean, think about it. If you're showing somebody that on this deal, their investor partner made whatever 200% return on investment in 3 months, well, if the person likes that, then you're going to set up that expectation. They're going to expect that kind of return when they're doing a deal with you. And you definitely cannot be delivering that on a consistent basis. So a much better idea is to show people kind of an average deal and then under promise and over delivers. I believe it was Tom Peters that said that in the first place. Under promise, over deliver. That way, if you show people, well, here's what our anticipated returns are, here's what you can probably be expecting. Every deal is a little bit different. And then you exceed those expectations. Number one, you're going to look like an absolute hero. Number two, they're going to want to reinvest with you. Number three, they're going to want to tell their friends and their family about the deals with you. So always make sure that you show off your average kind of a deal as a case study or as an example. Make sure you've got a good, well put together, well thought out PowerPoint presentation to show prospective investors how your deals work. A great example of this is our client, Sean. Sean came on board with us because he'd hit the wall. He'd run out of cash and credit to do his own flips. He wanted to access other people's money, but he wasn't sure how to do it. So we worked with him. We put together a whole plan, a plan of action. We created his target group of ideal investors. We broke the ice with those folks. We got the information going out on a regular basis, constant, consistent, edutaining communication. And now Sean has investors reaching out to him about his deals. He then walks them through a really good, well thought out, well put together presentation and gets them enrolled that way. And this is how he's been able to scale his flipping business because he no longer has to rely on his own cash and his own credit. And you can do the same thing. Now, speaking of finding investors and joint venture partners, if you're interested in doing that, then go ahead, get a free copy of my book, Money Partner Formula. This is going to show you exactly who you should focus on, how to get the word out, how to create an absolutely astounding investor presentation that's going to roll your investors and help you to raise capital easier and faster than ever before. You can get that by clicking on the link in the description below or go to investorattractionbook.com to get your copy today.